release water from the levees to take some of the pressure off. They were built to keep downtown Houston from flooding, but now they're inundated with water and they're having to release water from the levees. So that's just
get an additional 10 inches, and we've already seen fairly widespread 30, in some cases up to 40 inches, but we see another 10 inches, and as you drift off a little bit farther to the north and to the east, look at this, some spots may be getting up to another 25 inches. This is all additional, and as we know, there's already a lot of folks underwater, so we could be doubling our rainfall total still in some spots.
All right, I know you and I are going to kind of go back and forth this hour. I want to check in on the dam situation because I know that they are releasing some of the pressure in Houston, so we'll talk about that coming up. Adam, thank you very much. All right, let's go to Griff Jenkins, who is live at the Addicks Reservoir in Houston. You know, is it raining right now? Because as I'm looking at the map to my right, I would imagine it's about to get heavy again. Griff?
Harris, it is absolutely driving rain right now as we stand here at Addicks Reservoir, and of course the historic epic amount of rainfall levels that was measured in 500 years now, we're understanding has reached an 800-year level. But what you're looking at, that bubbling water, is 10,000 cubic square feet per second of water flowing out of that reservoir. That is the Addicks Reservoir, one of the two that make up the flood system here in Houston that protects downtown. And just a few moments ago, the geological survey folks were out here taking a measurement of how much water is being released because it needs to be exactly correct. Here's why. If they release too little, then the water in these conditions continues to rise, and if it crests for the first time in history, one of these reservoirs or that levee breaks, downtown Houston is gone. It is absolutely going to be even more catastrophic as the dire situations as we've seen. If they release too much, then as the water moves out, it will add entirely unnecessary water to existing flooding situations. We saw thousands of rescues today. We've had thousands more trying to take place now, but in these conditions, those volunteers can't take John boats out. Now, the Houston rescue guys, the Coast Guards can operate in this stuff, but it's definitely going to impede those efforts. But this is the story. That reservoir, this is a bad situation to have to target new areas that may be in the flow. This water, by the way, will flow southwest around downtown Houston into the Buffalo Bayou and other tributary systems to get down to the Houston Ship Channel to get it away from this city that is being besieged by these floodwaters. But the other thing that we aren't sure of is how much water is being added. We're told possibly as much as 15 inches or more in this latest storm as you're seeing come down. These conditions are such, Harris, that after this live shot, we're going to have to get out of here lest we should get stuck right in front of a levee. We're going to have to get out of here lest we should get stuck right in front of a levee that could potentially break. Conditions are such, Harris, that after this live shot, we're going to have to get out of here lest we should get stuck right in front of a levee that could potentially break.
Now, and there are two explosions rocking a chemical plant. It's just north of Houston, and it just happened. You're looking at a glow from those explosions. It's in Crosby, Texas, where evacuations have already been completed due to rising waters and unstable facilities. This explosion not unexpected, though.
We are also learning at least 10 Harris County Sheriff's deputies have been taken to the hospital following those blasts.
Those officers reportedly complained of dizziness and nausea, likely from inhaling chemicals, guys. A development, as you said, Brian, that was not completely unexpected, but still unwelcome.
Well, the CEO said we have to refrigerate all these chemicals that we're making here. And because we lost electricity, we lost our generators, we're not able to do that, so the neighborhood needs to know. He warned everyone there's going to be an explosion. And so 1.5-mile radius, there were about 300 houses that were evacuated because of that.
He says the fire will happen. It'll resemble a gasoline fire, which is happening. It'll be explosive and intense in nature. And as soon as they said, okay, we lost our primary power, we have our generator, we know the generator is going to go down soon. When it happens, there's going to be an explosion, but it doesn't mean you can prevent the after effects of this chemical in the area, which seems to have happened to the first responders.
That's right. At least one sheriff's deputy and more injured. This happened 25 miles northeast of Houston, so a very rural area. And as you said, Brian, The plant's been shut down since Friday. Evacuations happened Tuesday. They just didn't know when it would happen.
You know what I thought was interesting, too? They notified the FAA, and they had to close the air traffic above this chemical plant so that planes wouldn't fly in case, when there was an explosion, it would hit one of the planes.
Yeah, you just wonder. They said a couple of days ago, the high water and lack of power leave us no way to prevent it, and it happened. So that's what they said 2 days ago.
A couple hundred miles southeast of West Texas is the town of Crosby, Texas, just outside Houston in Harris County. It is, of course, one of the many Texas towns that has been battered for the last 6 days now by Tropical Storm Harvey. Crosby is where the Arkema chemical plant is. The Arkema chemical plant in Crosby employs about 57 people. It's a small plant. The plant produces organic peroxides for use in plastics. Their plant in Crosby lost power in the storm like everybody did. They planned ahead for that. They had backup generators on site to keep the plant powered up even after central power was lost. But unfortunately, this weekend, their backup generators also got swamped. They've had no power source of any kind since this weekend at that chemical plant. After the backup generators got swamped, they went to Plan C. The company moved the chemicals they had on site into refrigerated containers, where the refrigeration was powered by diesel engines. But those diesel-powered refrigerated containers, those containers got compromised by the rising water as well. And so now the crisis for little Crosby, Texas, is not just that it's under chest-deep water. The crisis in Crosby, Texas includes the fact that at that plant, where they've lost the ability to keep the chemicals refrigerated, they're expecting an explosion now. Because the chemicals they use there to produce liquid organic peroxides, there is a risk of spontaneous chemical reaction simply by virtue of the fact that they're no longer being kept cold. And the chemical reaction here means fire or explosion. And so a 1.5 mile radius around the plant has now been put under mandatory evacuation. That's to prepare for the explosion they are now expecting. Today, the North American CEO of Arkema is a French company, but they've got a North American division. The CEO of that division held a conference call with reporters to answer questions about the situation at the plant. We tried to reach the company today, hoping the CEO could join us tonight to help us explain and understand what's going on there. We left several messages with him, but we never heard back. I'm not complaining, it's understandable. But he did make this public call. Today, the CEO said that Arkema has removed all its staff from that plant and the area around it. He said there is now, quote, no way to prevent a possible explosion there because they can't get back into that plant. They can't do anything to start cooling off those chemicals again until conditions relent. One reporter on this call today, Matt Dempsey of the Houston Chronicle, who's a data journalist who works at the Chronicle, he asked what seems like a pretty straightforward question in a crisis like this. I mean, given that, people have been evacuated from 1.5 miles around this plant, given that they've said there's no way that we can prevent an explosion, that they can't keep these chemicals cold, that the inability to keep these chemicals cold will probably result in a chemical reaction. I mean, given that, this reporter asked the Arkema CEO, can you tell us what's inside that chemical plant? What are we dealing with here? Can you give us that Tier 2 report, which until a few years ago used to be something we could get as a matter of public record?
Tier 2 chemical inventory for your facility. Are you going to provide the most current Tier 2 chemical inventory for the facility to the media?
I don't know that we see the need to do that. I mean, they're all involved with the peroxides that we're discussing.
No, I understand that. There's a lot more detail in the Tier 2 chemical inventories for reporters that could be useful. Just to be clear, though, it sounds like you're not willing to release your current chemical or your Tier 2 chemical inventory to the media.
I mean, we do not see the need at this time to do that.
So they were not releasing that information. We do not see the need at this time.
And as rescue workers were finally able to get in and started the evacuation process, everything was brought to a screeching standstill. when bomb-sniffing dogs alerted the authorities that there were further explosive devices inside the building. We've had varying reports of how many there were, perhaps 2, perhaps 3. We do know that they have defused several of them, perhaps 2, perhaps 3. And we do know that at this point now, about an hour and a half after that original scare for the second explosive devices, just area, it does not appear that there's any kind of an effort up there yet. Now remember, oh my God.
That looks like a second plane.
I did not see a plane go in. That just exploded.
I just saw another plane coming in from the side.
You did. That was out of
yes, and that's the second explosion. You could see the plane come in just from the right-hand side of the screen. So this looks like it is some sort of a concerted effort to attack the World Trade Center that is underway in downtown New York.
Did you hear the explosion from your position?
Yes, we did. As a matter of fact, we heard it, and because I was just like standing there pretty much looking out the window, I didn't see what caused it or if there was an impact.
So you have no idea right now?
There's another one. Another plane just hit. Right? Oh my gosh. Another plane has just hit. It hit another building. Flew right into the middle of it. Explosion. My God, it's right in the middle of the building.
This one into the East Tower?
Yes. Yes. Right in the middle of the building. And right now, that was definitely looked like it was on purpose.
You saw a plane?
Yes, I just saw a plane go into the building.
As you look at the picture from our chopper now,